This is Julian Lee for the Brotherhood of the Sacred Word. We work to destroy lots of ignorance here. We work to present the most beneficial knowledge here. Why? Love of our fellow man. We are in a dark age now. We are in the Kali Yuga, the dark age, deep in it. And the more ignorance is about, the more unhappy mankind is. And the more the people know eternal truth, the happier they'll be. So we do this for love of our fellow man. You might think it's strange or get cognitive dissonance if I tell you we're living in an ignorant age. Well, it's true. But the TV set and the New World Order pushers want you to believe that this is the highest age. And they ignorantly want you to believe that science is the proof of that. And this is one of the forms of ignorance. Actually, power trippers and world controllers thrive on the loss of human happiness and order, because that makes us need them. And plus, they can give us happiness because they have science, antidepressants, drugs. They have the scientific solution to our unhappiness. How can they call this an advanced age when people are so unhappy that we now have multi-billion-dollar drug pusher corporations? In an advanced age, in a high age, people don't need drugs for happiness. So we fight against many forms of ignorance here that keep people from their true natural happiness. In fact, one important form of ignorance we wish to fight here is the delusion of technological progress. This is where we fail to recognize that the invention of more and more machines and more technology never solves the problem it's supposed to solve. That is, problems, trouble, inconveniences, misfortunes, or really our technology is supposed to kill duality. In the delusion of technological progress, the man never sees that the duality just changes form, just becomes a more insidious, complex duality. And another form of ignorance we fight hard here is the ignorance which doesn't know that moral self-control and continence are essential to spiritual development and getting the fruits of religion, which is God knowledge. Of course, you know we talk about that a lot here. Another one of the forms of ignorance we're fighting is this new bizarre notion that spirituality is separate and disconnected from religion instead of intimately connected, which is the truth. This deluded ignorance, which thinks that spirituality's good but religion's bad, we try to help with that problem. You know, today some forms of ignorance are actually enshrined in aphorisms and maxims as though they're some kind of wisdom. One so-called philosopher said, "Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it." And people take this as wisdom. Oh, I mean, it sounds wise or something. And yet this is horrific, insidious ignorance, because the opposite is the case. It's the one who remembers the past who will repeat the past. It's the one who gets most marked by the past who repeats the past. It's the one who takes on the impressions and samskaras of experience and remembers and remembers and remembers. He's the one who keeps re-manifesting his past. Jews need to learn about this. They do. That he who keeps remembering a past is doomed to repeat it. That's how it really works, folks. And this is part of the metaphysical wisdom of forgiveness, the great samsara-busting cosmic power inside of forgiveness. Because true forgiveness involves real forgetting, and real forgetting involves the unmarking of yourself. It also involves the forgiving of yourself for manifesting whatever negative karma you managed to manifest for yourself. So it's by forgiving and truly forgetting that a certain thing happened that we lose the conditioning that keeps things repeating. When we're marked by an event as this thing happened and I am this, it keeps repeating and growing coarser, incarnation after incarnation. A bump on the knee becomes a broken leg and then a crippled lifetime because of remembering, because of getting marked, because you hung on to it. So this is one of the important forms of ignorance today. You know, spiritual people learn that the past actually has no reality, and they learn that the past can actually change. In fact, it's already done that for you, and everyday people regularly experience the changing of their past without realizing it. How does the past regularly change for even ordinary people? The most usual way is that a new fact arises. Something different is found out about the past that wasn't known before. Well, guess what? In your false world dream, your past just got changed. Or maybe one thing happened but not the other. Or it happened differently than you thought. Or it had a different final outcome than you thought. Or a different cause or motive. Some new fact arises that casts the thing in a different light. Or maybe it actually never even happened. Maybe you believe something about your father, and there was something he did that you always thought was a bad thing, but then you find out something new about it, and it turns out your father was a hero, and he was full of love. You just didn't have all the facts. Mystic knowers learn that the past isn't any more of a reality than anything else. Your mind is always generating a past that you think is suitable to explain the present. And the present is controlled by your conditioning, your karma, and the power of your own mind now. This is what the story of the ugly duckling's all about. It's about the past changing. Here's this duck. Or he believes he's a duck. The truth is, facts are always changing. Our reality is always changing. Right now his reality and his facts are that he was born deformed and he's less than them because of that. That was his reality and his story about the past. Well, some new fact arises that's bigger than the picture he had before, and it finds out that he's actually not a duck like them, but he's a swan, and he's actually more beautiful than them, and has a higher future with his brothers sailing the skies. God, the great scriptwriter, can turn any story any way in the end through his grace to make it turn out to be all good in the end. Now, as I said, sometimes the past changes just through finding out that what you believed before was wrong. This is one of the simple ways that God, the great scriptwriter, changes your past, just gives you new facts. Happens all the time for all kinds of people. But what if you're not open to it? What if you want to cling to your idea of the past? Makes it harder for your past to ever change or improve. What a terrible thing for children to grow up with a story about how their ancestors and their people were all rounded up and inhumanly put into gas chambers and murdered in millions. What a burden to grow up with such a story. A spiritually wise people would welcome any graceful revisions to such a story, so that their children wouldn't have to grow up with exactly that past, exactly that kind of identity, or that kind of world. But what if you're a people that clings to one and only one possibility of the past, never allowing the updates and changes and corrections that change everybody else's past? Never allowing life, the deity, or grace to change your reality. This is ignorance. This is clinging to an identity, clinging to a particular idea of the past. By always thinking of that past idea and fearing that past idea, you're dooming yourself and your people to manifest it. This is Julian Lee.